Good afternoon. Welcome to Studio One on this Thursday, February 25th. I'm your host, Tom Buehring. Good to have you back with us. Joining us this half hour, a legend in the hockey world, Cliff Fido Purpur. Also, United States Senate hopeful and Fargo entrepreneur Steve Sydeness. And on our Open Door segment, a powerful message of apartheid captured in the gospel of a folk song. But first we go to the news desk and Kelly Evenson. Kelly?
Thank you, Tom. The national leaders of the Assemblies of God met today to discuss the fate of TV preacher Jimmy Swaggart. A 3-month preaching ban has been imposed on Swaggart, who last week confessed of sexual misconduct. The church has been swamped with calls, and according to leaders, about half of the callers have asked for tougher punishment. It's been about 25 years since the book The Feminine Mystique was published, a book that some say put drive into the women's movement. Studio One's Debbie Fries reports that next week, Women's Week at UND, will look at what progress has been made in the past 25 years and what is left to be done.
The struggle for sexual equality goes on all year, but next week is set apart to examine the progress and future of the women's movement. UND Women's Center Coordinator Nancy Nienhaus says the spirituality gathering that kicks off the week is symbolic.
We're looking at things like careers, labor, various lifestyle, black women, specifically focusing on black women, women and families and those kinds of contributions, just a variety of things.
All week, men and women will look at women's issues.
Seeing the person as a quality human being, whatever that means, in whatever field they're in. And if you're looking at somebody with that kind of respect and esteem, then you're not going to undervalue their work, and you're going to see whatever contribution they're making, whether that be in a home setting or an office setting, you're going to see those as equal contributions and as necessary for the welfare of this society.
But Sharon Rizak Anderson says the women are looking at issues differently.
I think every issue is a woman's issue. I never can separate out women's issues from other issues, because certainly today, especially with the economy the way it is, that is a woman's issue. If we look at poverty, women are more poverty-stricken in our country. The feminization of poverty is a reality for us. So I don't think we can remove any issue.
Inequality is still an issue with women.
I think there's an issue now that has surfaced in terms of the equal pay for equal worth issue that was certainly popular on this campus as it was being explored by one of our persons here on campus, Beth Schmidt. And she found that women still make 60 cents on the male dollar, so that is an inequity that we're finding there.
Although we don't hear as much about women's issues these days, the problems do still exist. Women's History Week will try to promote public awareness of the issues, because through awareness, changes can be made. Debbie Fries, Studio One News.
The new UND student body president is David Glessner, and the new vice president is Mary Corbett. Elections were held Monday and Tuesday. Glessner, Corbett, and 25 senators will take office March 15th. There's a little extra traffic in town today. The high school hockey players, their classmates, their parents, and their friends are here to determine who's the best in the state. As Bruce Mann tells us, the tournament is important to the city and the fans alike.
The North Dakota State High School Hockey Tournament has begun, but all the excitement won't be on the ice. Local businesses should prosper during the tournament.
This year is going to be the best economic impact we've ever had from the high school hockey tournament. When you've got the Bismarcks and Minotts and Bottineau and Jamestown, we have never, in the 6 years I've had this job, had a problem in terms of the demand for hotel rooms until this year.
This year's tournament also looks to be a success at the gate.
Because of the parity, which I think is going to give us good hockey games, I would think that the tournament would be well attended. My expectations is that it would be probably as good or better than we've ever had.
In this afternoon's first game, the underdog Bottineau Braves struck first on this goal by Chad Naring at the 3:24 mark. Grand Forks Central tied the score at 1-1 on this nice shot by Kevin Swen 1.5 minutes later. Jason Bunley deflected this shot by Mark Tangen at 13:21 of the first period, putting Central ahead 2-1. Grand Forks Central went on to win the game 5-2, and Central will now play in tomorrow night's second semifinal game. Tonight, Grand Forks Red River takes on Bismarck High. Bruce Mann, Studio One News.
Some encouraging news for overweight people today. It may not be your fault. The New England Journal of Medicine is reporting studies that show some obese people may be victims of their genes. The metabolism rate in some people may be slow, which causes the efficient storage of fat, and overeating is not necessarily the cause. That's the news. Tom?
Thanks, Kelly. That's always good to know. Take home a star this Saturday when the UND Advertising Club sponsors their first celebrity auction. Some of the items up for bid are Anthony Carter's football spikes, an autographed script from Days of Our Lives, and a movie poster from the redone classic Roxanne, signed by Steve Martin. Other items include autographed pictures from names like Gary Trudeau, Bob Hope, and Tom Selleck. The auction starts at 7 o'clock in the Memorial Union Ballroom. Proceeds will go to Drug Free America. If you're looking for some celebrities closer to home, stop by the Josephine Campbell Recital Hall, where the University of Manitoba Concert Choir is performing on Sunday at 7 o'clock. And for a glimpse of some local upcoming celebrities, take a walk through the landscapes of the Northern Plain, which introduces the top UND student artwork. This exhibit is located at the North Dakota Museum of Art in the UND Student Union now through March 12th. Now here to give us the weather for these Northern Plains is our very own meteorologist, Jay Searles. Jay?
Thank you, Tom. The cold weather of the past few days looks like it's on its way out, as winter will be easing its grip of the North Country over the next few days. In the almanac, we had a high yesterday of 22 degrees, a low this morning of 2 degrees above zero, and no precipitation. Currently at 4 in the Grand Forks area, the temperature is 32 degrees, the winds are south at 18 miles per hour, and the humidity is 68%. Taking a look at the map across the nation, high pressure dominates from east to west pretty much across the United States. The only area of any precipitation and of any consequence is up in the northeast across the central Great Lakes, where an upper level disturbance is moving across the Great Lakes, bringing some light snow to the area. Across much of the west, high pressure and warm temperatures down in the southwest, where temperatures are in the 60s and 70s. Across our region, a warm front, an area of low pressure extending, with the warm front extending out across western Dakotas, spreading the warm air that is across the west into our region. The upper level winds for the past few days have been out of the north, bringing the cold air of the Arctic into the east. This pattern will begin to change as the winds become more out of the west. That's what it looks like across the United States today. I'll be back a little later in the program with the River Valley weekend forecast. Tom?
Okay, thank you, Jay. Coming up this weekend, the North Central Conference Swimming Finals and Championships are being held through Saturday at the Winter Sports Center. And on the road, the UND men's and women's basketball team will be taking on both Nebraska Omaha and the University of South Dakota. After this break, Harvard graduate and Fargo businessman Steve Sydeness.
Did you know that almost 1/5 of our Navy is made up of civilians who leave their jobs at a moment's notice to help defend our country? They are members of the Naval Reserve. They take time off from their jobs to help defend our country. But for them to do that job right, they need time to train. If you're an employer, give them the time they need. With your help, our country will remain strong and ready. Support the National Guard and Reserve. Protect their future while they protect yours.
Welcome back to Studio One. After earning his undergraduate degree in a small Midwestern private college, our first guest went on to earn his master's degree from Harvard Business School. Steve Sydeness returned to his home state several years later to operate his own problem-solving business. Currently, Steve is running for United States Senate, and he campaigns for a new generation of Republican leadership. We welcome to Studio One, Steve Sydeness. Steve, thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
It is good to have you here. Now, TV studios aren't a new thing to you. Your dad was a pioneer of radio and TV
That's
in North
right,
Dakota.
yes. I kind of grew up in one of these. My father was, actually my father was the very first person ever broadcast live inside North Dakota back in 1952 when WDAY sent its first signal out of Fargo as a TV station.
And his professional name, Ken
Kennedy.
Ken Kennedy.
That's right, yep.
You're a fifth-generation North Dakotan. You state that in your campaigning very, very clearly.
Sure.
Coming back to North Dakota, returning, was it for that reason, or did you have some political aspirations before coming back?
No, it was very much a question of when I went away to school and to do some work. It was a decision I made before I left that I would come back. I never decided to leave and then later decided to return. It was a decision when I did go to college and grad school that I would certainly come back to North Dakota, and it was a question of just when was the right time. I'd had some experiences along the road that I wanted to fulfill, so it was a decision that I made when I left the state that I would return at some point.
You own your own business in Fargo.
That's right. Yep.
Use your abilities in problem solving.
That's really what it is. It's a consulting business, but many people don't really understand what it means when you say I have a consulting business. It really is a situation where I go into companies in North Dakota, and I have some non-North Dakota clients, and help them do what they do better. Try to help them either find a new market or serve their existing market a little more efficiently, or redesign some part of their process. So it's a problem-solving job is what I'm up to.
Does a thread run through a lot of businesses? Are there many common problems that North Dakota businesses face?
Well, here in North Dakota, we, I think, have I think the biggest underlying problem of North Dakota businesses is we are distant from major markets. And that isn't a problem for many businesses, particularly in the service industry or information businesses. Being in a market isn't a problem. But for some, if you're transporting your materials a great distance, then you run into some problems. But I think one of the challenges that we face here for smaller companies in particular is the availability of startup capital, venture capital, seed capital, call it what you like. North Dakota is not in the venture capital loop on a national scale. So we have plenty of bright individuals with good ideas that I think could be very marketable, but they lack that startup capital.
So these problems aren't necessarily just tailor-made for the state of North Dakota.
No, you see the same thing no matter where you run into a company. It's a little different slant on things, but it's surprising when you go into a company for the first time, you will see parallels with other businesses that are in entirely different industries, but the fundamentals are still there.
Steve, do you find as an economic problem solver that Grand Forks and even North Dakota is a place to lure and keep the innovator?
Well, I sure think so. I think North Dakota, Grand Forks, Fargo, wherever, the whole state has a tremendous amount of opportunity and a great deal of resources that could be had. What it takes, really, when you're talking about a new business is people who have an idea and are willing to work. And I think we have that in North Dakota more so than many places. So I'm very optimistic about the future of small businesses and entrepreneurs in North Dakota in general. I think it's the way our state is going to develop economically in the future through small businesses.
You talk about a new generation of leadership. As a businessman and with political aspirations, do you view the people of North Dakota very willing to risk new ideas into the hands of a new leadership?
Well, I think so. I think you need to be proven and give them some confidence that you, as an individual who are looking to get into politics, or as someone who's coming into their business to help them, you need to establish a certain amount of credibility in the fact that you can be trusted with their business or with their vote, as the case may be. But no, I think North Dakotans, as a rule, are facing the future and willing to take some chances. That's really what got this state started 100 years ago, were people willing to take a chance and go off and strike out on something new and unknown. So I don't think that that's an overriding reluctance.
How essential is it, Steve, for new, fresh ideas and new leadership to have old traditional roots like you have?
Yeah, well, I think it's very important, and in many places more important than others, and I think North Dakota is one, because we have in this state a very strong sense of tradition and ethics, and people like to know that you're from North Dakota, and the fact that I'm a fifth generation North Dakotan, my great-great-grandparents homesteaded here in the 1880s, that makes people comfortable. They say, well, he knows where he's coming from. He has the North Dakota heritage. He knows what's important to our state. But at the same time, we can take that heritage and build on it and go out and solve the problems that face our state and our nation in the future.
Briefly and quickly, you stated you're a businessman, not a politician. How does one escape being a politician, going into what you want to go into?
Well, you become a politician as soon as you announce your candidacy. So I guess when I say I'm not a politician, I have not been a lifelong politician. This is really my first run at elected office, and I think people are looking to that because they so many times see politicians that have been in office or in government service for many years applying the same old solutions to the same old problems. As someone who is coming from the private sector with a business background, I'm prepared and willing to take some new ideas and some new chances and some new approaches to old problems that haven't been solved given the solutions we've been applying to them in the past.
Steve, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
We'll be watching the April convention with great interest.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Businessman, educator, and United States senatorial candidate Steve Sydeness. After this break, a moving tribute to the turmoil in South Africa from a lady whose life mirrors that struggle of oppression.
How How does this man consistently draw 2,000 students a year to New York's most talked-about film class? How does he attract the finest creative talent in the film world? Guests like Woody Allen, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese, Dustin Hoffman, Deborah Winger, William Hurt, Steven Spielberg, Robin Williams, Robert Redford, Shirley MacLaine, just to name a few? Why do his students describe him as brilliant, charismatic, and his class provocative, inspiring, exhilarating? Find out for yourself. Richard Brown's Screening Room, a whole new way to look at movies. Watch it on NCTV.
South African Miriam Makeba may not be a top 40 artist, but her music and life are both dedicated to the apartheid movement. Growing up, she witnessed the killings of her own family by the turmoil that still exists. At age 20, she moved up and out of her oppressed life to pursue her love for music. It also brought her exile from her homeland. Paul Simon's recent Graceland tour marked her triumphant return to America, where she stands as a forerunner to convey the message of apartheid. On our Open Door segment, the spirit of liberation is embodied in the rich gospel tradition of the South African song Imaba Seen, with visual remembrances of those who gave their lives for the sake of freedom. Imaba Seen by Miriam Makeba from her album Sangoman. We'd like to thank NCTV's New Gurus for supplying us with that video to mark the end of the Apartheid Symposium and Black History Month here at UND. When we return, we'll talk with a man credited for making Grand Forks the hockey center of the Upper Midwest, Cliff Fido Purpur.
In our country, where physical illness gets the most advanced medical treatment, A disease that affects 35 million Americans goes virtually untreated.
Why don't you just get up and pull yourself together? Snap out of it.
The disease is mental illness, a disease that's often misunderstood, so its victims wind up neglected, isolated.
There is nothing more I can do for you.
But mental illness can be treated once you learn to see the sickness. For an informative booklet, call the American Mental Health Fund.
Our next guest is a member of 5 Halls of Fame, including the United States Hockey Hall of Fame. He's a recipient of North Dakota's highest honor, the Theodore Roosevelt Rough Rider Award. When Fido Purpur stepped onto the ice with the St. Louis Eagles in 1934, he became the first North Dakotan native to play in the NHL. Idolized because of his gutsy play and great speed, at age 73, Fido is still going strong. Please welcome North Dakota's hockey legend, Cliff Fido Purpur. Fido, thanks for taking the time.
Tom.
It's good to have you with us.
Oh, there's no, I didn't take no time. I do this for you anytime.
So you got a lot of time on your hands, is that what you're telling me?
Not in the summertime, no.
Tell me this, is it surprising to you, as it was to me, to really find out that with the exception of one other North Dakotan who played maybe 1 or 2 professional games, you are the only native North Dakotan to ever play professional hockey? Now, obviously it's not a surprise to you, but does it surprise you that nobody else has played?
Well, well, the Canadians, they've been playing that game a long time. Of course, I started when I was 5 years old, but I was the first American in the NHL in 1934. In fact, there were a lot of write-ups all over the country about the only American in the NHL. And I weighed 135 pounds.
And maybe explain really briefly why the nickname Fido.
Fido, I was playing in Minneapolis one night. I dove through the defense. Well, I didn't. I was going to jump, but they pulled my feet out from under me, and the puck come through, and I was sliding, and I shot that puck in. It was a good thing the coach was on me anyway. I was homesick. I didn't even care, you know. But and then I got 2 more goals, and Jack Quinlan, sports writer for the Minneapolis Journal at that time, he said the Perp was busier than a springer in a field of pheasants. You know, a hunting dog after his birds, you know. So the next day, the Minneapolis Star come out, and Fred Hutchinson, the sports writer from the Minneapolis Star, said, we have to name him Fido.
And it stuck.
And it stayed all the time.
Got a question for you, Fido, about recruiting. Our neighbors to the east and our neighbors to the north, both Canada and Minnesota, have stocked professional hockey with players. Why not North Dakota? Why do you think that is?
Well, when I come back here, North Dakota, that's what when I left St. Louis, they said, these 10 men, they said, we'll set you up in any business you want. And I said, no way. I said, Mariucci and I had decided this. I'd go back to North Dakota and build hockey, and he'd take over Minnesota. So that is the reason I come back. Well, we had no hockey. There was Central. They died out. I helped with 8 players. We started it up back in about the 30s, and it died out. And we had got new uniforms for them and everything. And before I come back, they called me into Central High School, and they said, we'd like to get hockey going again, Cliff. Old Hewitt said to me. I said, okay, I'll take her. And my brother Kenny had played in the Olympics. They got beat out by Russia that year in the finals. Yeah, he led the way, and he could go.
Fido, if I can ask you about the style of hockey, and I want you to draw some comparisons from way back in the 30s. Yeah. Hockey today, if you had a choice between professional, Olympian, collegiate, or high school, how should hockey really be played?
Well, I don't really know how much they've changed the rules now, but they still use, in fact, I introduced the box system in the defensive play. And I had another play, too. I can't explain it now. It'd take too long to explain it, too.
It's a strategy.
I wish I could tell you one play I had, but I don't dare say that. And I learned it myself, but I was never coached, but I coached Central High School when I played for Central. They'd Knapp, he was the school teacher, and they said he was the coach, you know. He said, you know who coached the team, Cliff, he said. But I've had a lot of great days in the game, you know. As far as the game played now, you have the box system. Practically all the Olympic players use the box system. And I had played it way back in the 30s, you know, so I knew I was pretty good at it myself. So that is, and then the main thing, the puck is like a magnet. It sucks you. That's why when little kids play, you'll see 3, 4 little kids after the puck in the corner. But a good player, he don't let that puck draw him. He stays on his position. You know, that's what you have to do when you're in the pros. And then the thing is to feed it ahead all the time. Like if it's a hot potato, I hand it to you and it burns your hand, what do? You get rid of it, don't you?
You do.
Or the same with a puck. Give it up to the next guy, keep her moving.
A true hockey player and a coach you are. And you know what, I want to throw this in. I have found out, and I need just a yes or no if this is true from you, Guinness Book of World Records says that you have the record for scoring 4 goals in a 25-second span.
I have.
He does.
It's in that New York book, what do you call it?
Guinness Book of World Records?
Yes.
That's the one.
Yeah,
thanks for joining us, Fido.
Okay,
North Dakota's greatest all-time hockey player, Fido Purpur. This weekend is a chance to scout for the next all-time great hockey player during the first round of the WCHA playoffs and the North Dakota State High School Hockey Tournament, all right here in Grand Forks. When we return, Jay Searles will give us one last look at the weather.
We give you the truth. Uncensored. Powerful documentaries every week.
South Africa belongs to all the people who live in it, not to one group, be it black or white.
I'm too old. I'm too fat.
We're a long way from equality in any field.
Uncensored. Discover it every week on NCTV.
How do you find out when an administration is corrupt? How do you find out when a government is hiding the truth? How do you find out about those who would like you not to find out? To become better informed about the role of a free press and how it protects your rights, contact the First Amendment Center.
Stop by the Center for Aerospace Science Atmospherium Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock to see the Democratic candidates debate live from Washington. That event is free. Also, it's Greek Week Lip Sync, held at the Chester Fritz Auditorium. For more information, call the Delta Upsilon House. Now for information on this weekend's forecast, here again is Jay Searles. Jay?
Thanks again, Tom. Taking a look at our map for tomorrow morning, that area of low pressure which was up in Saskatchewan and slipped down over the northern part of Lake Superior. The temperatures behind it are fairly cold in Ontario, but that's not going to come down our way. What's coming our way is this warm air for the weekend. Temperatures tomorrow afternoon will be in the 60s across much of Wyoming and much of the western Dakotas. Taking a look at the forecast in the detail for the Grand Forks area, under clear skies for tonight, we'll have a low of 16 degrees, and the winds will be southerly at 15 to 20 miles per hour, and we'll have no precipitation. For tomorrow, skies will be mostly sunny. We'll have a high in 38 degrees. Very warm tomorrow. We'll have a wind at 15 to 20 miles per hour out of the south, and no precipitation again. Saturday, continued warm and sunny with a high of 40 to 45 degrees. Very warm coming up for the weekend. Sunday, increasing clouds with a high again of 40 to 45. That's what it looks like for the weekend. Tom?
Sounds good, Jay, but that's just kind of a tease, isn't it?
Oh, it's looking real good.
Good. We'd like to thank our guests, Steve Sydeness and Cliff Purpur, for being with us today. From all of us here at Studio One, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.